Okay. My name's Alice. I have two beautiful daughters now. My first one is almost 6, and my second one is just about 9 days old. Both of them were natural births, both in the hospital. So we did fight our nurses and doctors and that whole, there's always a trauma story with the hospital. But the biggest thing I noticed between the two was the final feeling, like when you push them out, you want to put it that way. My first one, I labored at home for 50 hours. I'd opted to go back home and not be admitted at the hospital twice because they would have hooked me up to machines and, you know, that whole shindig. So I stubborn went home and continued to labor. And finally I was like, oh, it's 2 days, I should go in. Water hadn't broken, nothing was consistent. Strong though. And I finally went in. I was already 6 centimeters. And after a little while, they decided we were just going to break my water, get things moving along. And there really was no water when they broke it. Her head plugged it up pretty good. So 2 hours, 30 minutes of pushing. I didn't feel the overwhelming urge to push with this one for some reason. I'd expected it. I didn't get there. But when she finally popped out, we got the head. They were all, oh, the head. And then the shoulder went. And everything followed behind because my water didn't break. So I gave birth to an aquarium. There was actually the flipper bit at the end with her feet. And that was alarming, but everything was perfect. She was good, 7.5 pounds, 19 3/4 inches, blonde fuzz, she was perfect. And then the second one, so this pregnancy was kind of like doing it all over for the first time again, because it'd been almost, half a decade. And the pregnancy was uneventful, just like the first, but there at the end, I had some high blood pressure. Pretty sure I was just stressing. I don't think it was anything related to that. So they decided to induce me, which, okay, sounded fine. They brought me in. They started with the Cytotec, and I begged them to take it slow because I didn't want anything, that wonderful Pitocin horror stories out there. So after 8 hours of Cytotec, which is the ripening agent, just a little suppository, I don't know what you'd call that. But my body took over and was contracting fine on its own in normal. And they finally were like, okay, well, I think you're far enough along, give you a little Pitocin. That only took about 3 hours. They started administering it, on that 30-minute mark and everything, and it progressed really quickly. No pain meds, mind you, either one. With this one, I kind of went barbaric. I don't know if it was the Pitocin that made it seem so sharp, which I've heard that is to be expected. But it got to the end, and the doctors weren't in the room, and I knew I was ready. They had told me I was 7 centimeters, and I cried foul. Not really, I wasn't talking much, but mentally. And finally the doctor came in and goes, she's ready. And I pushed 3 times, and that was it. And I had this moment after her head came out where I knew that there was a lot of baby, and they said, you're almost done, keep pushing it. I was like, oh my God, there's so much left in there. And I gave her the 1-2 and got the other 2 pushes out of the way. And, it was like what I would imagine giving birth to a small farm animal was like. I mean, she was huge, and I could feel every square inch of it. And it was the overwhelming urge to push. It was like complete no control. And, she was huge. They said, they're like, oh, they took her out and everything and threw her up on my chest. They finally weighed her. She had her sister beat by 1.5 pounds. Her noggin was bigger. She was longer. And I knew it the second her head surfaced. She did. She tore me up. They both did. Not too bad though. So, but yeah, 2 successful natural births in the hospital. Nothing really traumatic. I knew what I wanted, and I think it helped that I didn't stick with any one doctor. I stayed in a network, so I never saw the same doctor twice, which at that point, they really don't care about you as a person, they just see you as a pregnancy. So if you're gonna go that route, you don't really care for the one-on-one attention. I'd say go for it. But you can do it. Natural in the hospital. Success twice. And that's about it.